Hi, we're with the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch, and we're going to be doing an Instagram Live with a member of our student panel. Feel free to drop us a question tonight on any of the content that you see, or if you'd like, you can email the branch as well. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hopefully the internet's okay. I am on a mountain right now, so.
Oh, nice. Are you skiing or snowboarding or?
No, just not being at my house.
Fair enough. Because it's spring break this week for you? Or,
Yes, yes it
okay.
is. Yeah,
Um,
it's hard to keep track now.
I know. So why don't you just take a minute and introduce yourself and just grade and where you're at in school and that sort of thing.
Okay. Hi. I'm Lucy. I'm a junior in high school. Um, that's a thing that
Yeah.
exists. I was diagnosed in the second or third grade. I don't know which one exactly. Um, and I've been an X-Men ever since.
There you go. Yeah, so you're really into comic books.
Yeah, really. It's
Um,
kind of that nice bridge of like not watching TV and also like not reading a novel.
so we usually go through these conversations and we talk about the journey of dyslexia and where it's at. But I think with your story, it'd be kind of interesting to flip it and start like where your strengths are, because you're into comic books, you're really into movies and dissecting that. I've heard you're into art as well. Is that
Yeah, I like to draw a lot. I'm trying to work on painting. My strengths probably lie just mostly in things that are just like don't involve spelling, I guess. Like
fair?
just reading and writing is the hardest thing for me. So when it comes to like strengths, it's like things like math, because yes, we're using letters, but at the same time, we have to put letters, it's like a color by number in my
Okay.
brain almost. And I think with things like that, it's like, yeah.
Well, I had a question on that. So do you see the world in pictures? Because we have this, or how does it formulate in your mind?
I don't know. I feel like to me, I see the world how everyone else sees it, but I guess the only perspective I know is my own. So
Fair.
who knows? I could see it differently, but I might. It's
Okay.
just like some things I connect to completely random things, which help me remember stuff in the long term. So.
Have you always been into comic books, or where did that come from, and how did that develop?
Absolutely. It really developed when there would be that library day in elementary school where we went to like the school library and had to pick out books, and I would hide in the graphic novel section because that was like the only thing that I understood. Like, yes, everything was picture books, but to me, even just a little paragraph was too much. And sometimes with comic books, I almost feel like they're getting too wordy. It's like I just want a couple sentences for each slide panel. So yeah, it really started with being that like it's also like tucked in the corner, so it's like young me was very introverted, so just being tucked in the corner was part of it too.
Still introverted now, or are you kind of, how does that?
No, I
Uh,
don't think I'm introverted at all now, or at least from the exterior, I wouldn't say I am.
Fair enough. I was going to ask, is there a comic book character that you connected with? Is there a story you identified with?
Um, Not like a specific character. Like I said earlier, like my dad always told me, because he's also dyslexic, my dad always told me that I was an X-Men, I was special, I had a special ability. Because like when you're younger and you're dyslexic, you're trying to find like other people who are dyslexic, and a lot of times that would be with like the internet. And so you're finding famous people who are dyslexic and where their strengths lie. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's my strength too. We're like have the same brain. Um, so it was really just with that like kind of relating to having like a superpower almost.
For sure. Well, okay, so let's dive into that. When did you find out you were dyslexic and how did that process unfold for you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I thought it was third grade, but that was probably the school year that I like was really dyslexic. And to me, it wasn't really something that I like understood because clearly I was like an 8-year old. Um, but with it, it was kind of this weird thing where they would pull me out of my individual reading time, which I probably needed to do to practice, and made me go do multiplication tables, which was like, but I know how to do the multiplication tables. And it's like, okay, and you would be pulled out with like a group of the other dyslexic students. And it's like, okay, explain it to each other. It's like, okay, but we all understand this. It's like some of us didn't, but like it was a weird thing where it's like, why are you pulling me out of something that I don't understand to put me in something I do understand?
So that had to have been frustrating for you.
Very, very. And it was also super othering because think about it. Like, it's all quiet, everyone's with their individual books, and some teacher that none of the kids know walks into the class and pulls out like two people. It's like, ooh, someone's going to the principal or something like that.
So you felt called out right away with it, and you weren't
For
really
sure.
getting, and sounds like you weren't really getting the help that you needed. Had
No.
how has school unfolded for you? Has that changed or
I think that's changed a lot because for me, it's like I feel more othered when other people feel othered. I'm using the word other a lot, but like if everybody in the class doesn't know I have dyslexia by the end of the school year, then I did something wrong. It's like everybody, like at this point, I'm the one being like, yeah, I'm dyslexic. Don't ask me how to spell. And so, through that, I've kind of gotten more comfortable and then like more comfortable asking questions. And with my middle school, I went to an arts middle school, which helped me a lot because that really did play into my strengths. And certain teachers would be like, hey, you guys went to an arts middle school not to write history papers. So let's do an art project for our history project, which was like, it was a really good way to like I felt like I could actually do things. And so through that I was like learning my strengths, and now in high school you have a lot more freedom, and a lot of my teachers are really willing to like help and stuff. So if there's like a really long paper that I just don't think I can do, I can talk to them and we can find ways to work around it, whether it is like a project, like a physical thing. So
I wanted to dive into something you said early in your talk here. It Where did you learn to call yourself out? Where did you learn to self-identify with like, hey, I'm dyslexic, don't ask me how to spell something. Like that's a really powerful line. I'm just wondering where that comes from.
Um, I think it was like a combination of the whole like this is my superpower, this makes me special. Like it's not that I feel different, I feel special, you know, it's
Yeah.
something different about me that like is cool almost, whether it helps or hinders me, you know. It's like it's something that's special, and also theater kind of made me more
Yeah,
dramatic and just being like, yeah, I'm dyslexic. I can make fun of myself.
totally. And owning the space, really just taking the space
Exactly.
to own it. What advice for students that maybe haven't gotten to that point or are
I
still kind of in that hidden phase? What would you tell them?
I think it's really like up to you whether you feel comfortable about that. I think it's really important when it comes to like a teacher, like making sure a teacher knows that this is something you have. Um, and it's like it's different with like not everybody wants to like tell their classmates, you know, and like you don't have to, don't feel obliged to. And I think that's like the main thing is just make sure you feel comfortable when telling people. And you have to, I think you have to get comfortable with yourself first. I think that's what it is. You're like, this is something I live with every day, and it's not really going to change. And once I own up to that, I can figure out how that's going to assist me through other things and how other people can assist me through that.
Yeah, I think it's really important, like you're saying, like if you can get it at least identified with the teachers or somebody that's going to actually help you or in the classroom, like get comfortable in that space first and then maybe see where it goes from there. That might be one strategy that students could use on the line.
Yep.
So, do you feel that you can really just express yourself through art then? Like, is that something that you've learned to do? And is that a direction you see yourself going?
Um, it's art is such a broad thing for me. So it's like when I think about like, do I see myself going into art? It's like, well, not like drawing, even though I love to draw. It's like, it's not something I'm super open about, but I really like making things with my hands or like I'm like earlier we talked about how I really love film, and so it's like my dream job would obviously be going into like film, um but I'm I'm a very like this I don't know if this is a thing I can actually do, so I'd be really interested in going into advertising. So it's I like to think about like all the different avenues that I can use art in, because that's the thing. I don't You really don't write once you get past like high school and college, you don't write essays every day. It's like finding that job. It might not be your dream job, but something that you can apply, something you love to, I think is really important. That's why I plan to go into advertising.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so cool that you've kind of identified that as a broad topic and then able to kind of dabble in different things. What advice for students that maybe are trying to figure out their passions or like kind of not really there? Is there anything you've discovered that you could share insights for them?
Try everything. Just try everything, because it's especially if you're like in high school. It's like what are you going to do? Especially with like freshman year, you have like all these options. Why not try ceramics? Why not try theater? Why not try a sport? Like that's something that I loved when I was younger, was like sports, and I've done 3D art and photography and all of those things. And I think it's like really important just to try everything, even if like your friend isn't taking that class. That's like a really important thing for me, is just like to try everything.
It's awesome. What and along those same lines, and you kind of touched on it, but if you could dive into it, it seems like you have a way of advocating for yourself. Like, and we talk about the student panel as being a group of people that really support one another and learn to advocate. Where can people build those skill sets?
I think it really I think it really has to do with like maybe starting off, not just not advocating for yourself, but being with someone who's helping you advocate. Because watching people, like for me, I've had ever since third grade, I've had people like being like my parents have been like, hey, this isn't working, can we do this? And like through watching them, through watching really helpful teachers, because that's something I really like, is like some teachers or like IEP counselors can be really helpful. And so it's like through kind of slowly building up that confidence or just
Yeah.
comfortability with like saying hey, because that's the thing, I still struggle with that too when in certain classes where I'm not like super close with the teacher. So it's I think it's really important with like, hey, when you're like, this is not something I like, I'm really struggling, but I don't know how to voice it. It's like finding that person, whether it be an IEP counselor or even a parent, just being like, hey, can you like, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me word this? Because that's part of it too, is just like, I'm struggling with something, but I don't know what.
That's a lot of it too, right? Figuring out where's the gap? Where is that, whether it be understanding the information that's in the lesson plan or understanding how to even know what to ask for. So I think you're right. Like just that kind of getting comfortable, building the rapport with educators is probably huge. And then it's a great. My parents were the same way, like having parents that have the ability to kind of show you how to like kind of build that process. What is can you talk to us about what it means to you to be on the student panel and what you've learned from that experience?
Well, I've only been on the student panel for maybe a month and we don't meet that often, but I think it's really just like this might sound cheesy, but it's like you're not alone, you know.
Mm.
I know that's like the slogan and stuff, but
Yeah, you're
um
great at marketing. You got the advertising thing down right
thank
now.
you. It's really just like it's something where I can talk to people and like these weird, obscure experiences I've had. Like other people have had those and they're not that crazy. Like this isn't just something that happened to me, you know? Like the weirdest things can happen to me and only me at my school. But then I get to talk to people from other schools with other experiences too, because it's really interesting hearing other people's experiences. And part of that can help you through your own experiences. Like maybe everybody has a super supportive teacher, or someone has like no real like teacher who helps them out in school, and it's like learning from other people's experiences is really important to me through everything, and I think that's really important through education and stuff.
Absolutely. I think there's so much power in the stories and how they connect us. And amongst the dyslexic community, they are intertwined for sure. We've all experienced maybe not the exact same thing, but very similar things that make us feel like, you're not alone, or you have people in this battle. Shelby mentions you're amazing at getting other students to talk and share. And I'm just wondering what techniques you use to build that, or is that just a natural?
I don't think it's natural because I just like it's something you really work on over time, and I think part of it is just like kind of giving people that hint. Like I hated it when I was younger when teachers are like asking me questions for me to answer, but like it's an obvious answer, but at the same time it's like it's kind of building you up to that final answer, so it's making you understand it more. And I feel like that's kind of what I try to do is like kind of be like, this is a very direct question, now branch off almost. It's I and I also feel rude when I talk over everyone, that too. So it's like I need to learn how to like make other people share. And I think it's like once again, it's really important to hear other people's views. So I like giving people like a boost to
No,
talk.
it's amazing, and it's a great skill set that you continually work on. But you do need to talk because you're dropping a ton of golden nuggets for the audience tonight, and everyone's learning from you. In fact, one person even wrote next Spielberg. So you have you're building a fan base out here. Uh, I wanted to I like to leave the guest with the last word. What what would your message be to the world? And it can be anything. It can be directed to parents or students or educators or around the topic of dyslexia. What would be your message? What would be your advertising line?
Um, well, I was thinking really, if it was one word, I would say help. And I think it's kind of that situation of you can what's the quote? You can like fish for a man and he'll eat for one day, or you can teach a man to fish and he'll like eat for something like that. And I think
Yeah.
that quote is really true. And I think to everybody, whether they be like educators or parents, it's like help these people out, and not just help people out by doing everything for them, because that's something that's really important, is building up that independence. So it's like kind of helping them through building them up. And with students, it's like really look for that help, because it's not wrong to look for help. And people are really eager to help you. Like I know a lot of my teachers, even when I don't go to them, they're like, we want to help you because we're all struggling right now in quarantine and stuff. Like online learning is really difficult. And I think it's really important for people just to like find that help, and people are willing to like get take that help, give that help. So it's like it's there, but you just got to know it.
That's a perfect message. And in fact, that's what Shelby just said. That's well said. And I think that's so needed for people to hear that help is a welcome thing. And if you get it in the right way, then you can continue to grow and progress as an individual. It sounds like you're doing that for your students and how you build them up and how you elevate them. So just one, thank you for all the work that you've done in a month on the student panel because you're definitely making an impact. And I know with quarantine it's a challenge, but kind of doing the virtual meetings, but your presence is definitely known and appreciated by the board members, and you have clearly built a fan base out here. So everyone is rooting for you as you go on in your endeavors.
Thank you.
You have a great night. Thank you so much for taking the time on a Monday on your
You
holiday.
too. Thank you.
Bye.